Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen, to another Survivor Debrief exit interview. And my heart is breaking. The spell is broken. There was not enough cauldrons in the world with eyes of newt and such things to keep her in the game. We are so shattered that she is out, but luckily enough, she has joined the jury. That's right. Today we are talking to the lovely Laura. Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
No worries. Ding dong, the witch is dead. She's gone. She's gone. I know. I should have seen that coming, but as you can see, that was a true blindside.
Yeah, it really felt it as well. That panic in tribal council when there was suddenly that awareness of like, oh, hang on a second. And was that was real? That was happening in the moment?
In the moment, counting numbers, who's working with who. You can see me turn to my left, turn to my right, going, who did you vote for? Who did you vote for? Figuring it all out. I knew that Karen was kind of throwing herself a little bit under the bus, telling Logan to play her idol. I didn't want to spoil her spot, but I was really trying to figure out what was happening. You can see me running the numbers in my head.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, we're so shattered that you've gone, but I just want to take a step backwards first and just tell us a little bit about your casting journey. Like, how did you get cast?
So I applied for Titans versus Rebels. And I think I learned from that experience to pick a part of my personality that really was different to everyone else. So when I applied this time round, I did my whole application talking about my witchiness and my crystals and my tarot cards and my aura reading. And that really was what they loved. And it was something different about me, something that I wasn't scared to talk about, something I was really proud of myself. And yeah, it was quite a quick experience from the application to the interview where I was, reading people's auras in the room. And I said, you're led by your ego. And they're like, done, you're in. Great. You're absolutely in. And then I got a call that I was a standby. I was told that I was the standby. I know for the brains, I needed a female brain to drop out. And that was heartbreaking. Yes. Absolutely heartbreaking. And I didn't want to wish ill on anyone. I was thinking of all the reasons someone would drop out of such an experience. And I thought an injury maybe, but I didn't want to wish anyone an injury. So I did a spell for someone who's always wanted to get pregnant, to finally have a baby. And I actually don't know who dropped out, but that was the spell I did. And the next day I got a call saying that I got on. The executive. The
next day, said, oh my God.
The next day he said, I don't know what spell you did, but it worked. See you in Samoa.
Man, I don't know. We've just had 12 women get pregnant. This is wild.
The IVF clinics around Australia are going crazy. I think that is a good kind of representation of me. I don't want to wish harm on anyone, but I am going to try and get what I want.
Yeah. Now, going out there, obviously you want to work with different people. You have a few different mindsets going out there. Was there any person that you wanted to work with straight away? And ultimately, I just want to touch on the Coven as well and why you think maybe it didn't have legs. It didn't work out for you.
I think going in, I was wanting to work with people who understood me. I knew that I could be a little bit polarizing to some people. So as soon as Logan, the first thing she said to me was, I just did like a tarot card reading just before I came out, or I just had my aura reading just before I came out. I went, you're in, you're done. You'll listen to what I say. You'll trust my instincts. And I think I wanted people around me that trusted my instincts. Karen as well, she straight away was like, I love witchy poo. I want to continue with that. So I think that's how the Coven formed, is people that kind of had a like mind in the way that we view the world. Why it didn't work, I think we have 4 very, very strong women.
Yep.
And we're 4 very opinionated women who we agree on how to play the game. And in that sense, it could be our downfall, because we were all coming from the same perspective of self-preservation, of getting further in the game, of getting our way. And so there weren't those checks and balances in place in order for an alliance to move forward. There weren't those opposing opinions, or there were opposing opinions, but there weren't opposing ways on playing the game. So in that way, we're all just spearheading the same way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And because if you look at someone, you sort of almost need a couple of those floaters in a sort of a larger group than that. Like, and no offense to them, but you're like, you've got your Kates and your Morgans that are just like, okay, what's happening? Yep, let's do that. And they're not
Yes.
putting their foot down and say, but it did seem like you guys all were like, no, I want to play this way. I'm going to this person. This is better for my game. And it is, yeah, it is that. It's great to have that energy, but it's also, it's hard if you don't have anyone that's willing to step back. Yeah.
I also think that it started off as us four, Zara, Karen, Logan, and myself. And as soon as we, that's four's never a majority, but as soon as we tried to bring in more people to the coven itself, I do think that was also its downfall. I think that if we'd stayed four strong and just agreed to disagree going through certain votes, then we could have gotten further. But as soon as one of the, the exterior members' names came up, that's when I think the downfall
that happened.
Really
started. And did you get a sense when you lost Zara? Because it seems like Zara was out at some point. Did you get that sense of like, this is not?
I think that Zara and my relationship is so funny. I think that I realized I was losing Karen and Zara when I was pushing so hard for Rich.
Yeah.
I think Ali was Indy was a united vote, and then Kent was a united vote. So I thought, I didn't realize how much they wanted Rich for those two previous votes. And then when I pushed so hard, that's when I started pushing them into the graduates, I think.
Yep.
That's when I feel like I lost them. However, on Brains 2.0, Zara and I got so close. We were not joking when we said the Brawns weren't talking to us. They really stuck 5 strong. And there were 5-6 days where Zara and I were sitting in the shelter talking to only each other. And so that's when I thought I had gotten her back. But I hadn't. I thought I'd gotten into her good books, but I didn't realize that I wasn't back in that inner circle.
Yes.
Again.
Yeah. Now, I just wanted, this is just an overarching question now. What do you think was your best move out there on the island, and what was probably your biggest mistake?
I think my best move was probably forming the coven and forming relationships with those women. My idea going in was to create kind of a spider web of alliances. So it was, we connect, we agree, split. Then you find a new best friend and then you split. And then you find a new best friend and you split. And that kind of spider web, I think, worked really well for me. I had Logan, and then we had Karen and Zara, and then they had Miles and AJ, and then Logan and I had Rich and Kaylin. So it really was a nice spread of information at the beginning. I think my worst, hindsight's a great thing. I don't think I should have told Zara about my information that I found. I think that with hindsight, I should have stuck to the Jessie plan and then tested the Girls Gone Wild's plan with that vote, knowing that if they didn't stick with me, I would be going to the Brawns.
Yeah, it was sort of a safety net. Yeah.
Yes, I think that that's a brilliant way to move forward. However, when I found the information, self-preservation just kicked in. And you can see Zara and I immediately just trying to get off this sinking ship. Both of us just saw it and our eyes just went, oh my gosh, we have to leave.
Yeah.
Where I think that I should have continued with I shouldn't have told Zara, and I should have continued with the Jessie vote and then tested Kate and Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. And look, like you say, it's so much easier to play Survivor on the couch and just be like, that's right. But in the moment, you just, it's all there. Now I want to touch on a couple of relationships you had. Now, first of all, Logan, you guys seemed like you were this unbreakable pair. You built all this this big connection up, and then tribe split. All anyone talked about was, we can't get Logan and Laura back together because they're gonna like blow the game up. Did you realize you were such a big power couple? Did you realize all these people saw you as this unbreakable bond? And how do you think that impacted your game?
I did not know that people were viewing Logan and I like that. I think at the time we understood that we were probably the most outright pair, the most obvious pair. But we both play the game in a similar way. So I didn't think that we would be viewed as a big threat. I had no idea that people were talking about me the way they were on Brawn 2.0 until I met Paulie, and Paulie said, "You've got a massive target on your back." I went, where is it? Like, what do you see? What's happening? I think that was AJ trying to throw Logan under the bus any way that he could. I should have seen that we were the most obvious pair, but I thought Miles and AJ were also an obvious pair. yeah, I think we did have a great bond, but we never said we were not going to write each other's names down. We
Yeah.
always went into that relationship with, when the time comes, and we will do what we have to do. And we both are very like strategy minded in that way. So I thought that was pretty obvious to everyone around us as well, that if the opportunity presented, we definitely would have turned on each other. But I thought it was too early in the game to start doing that.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't know everyone knew about Logan's Idol. I think if I'd
Oh,
known,
yeah.
if I'd known everybody knew about Logan's Idol, I would have been able to figure out that I was the split sooner
Yes.
and done something about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Now, the other one, the other relationship out there was sort of Morgan and Kate. Now, it
Mhm.
seemed like you and Logan never really managed to pull those girls in, like in a solid way. I know you started to with the Jess vote, but
Mhm.
it seemed like AJ, all AJ had to do was say, "Oh, I love your running. Oh, I love your eyes," and then they were suddenly like, "No, he's with us. We love AJ. This is really cool." Was that a relationship that you guys sort of just thought they would just come along with you, or like was there anything there?
Yeah, I got quite close with Morgan and Kate on Brain 2.0. We
2.0,
were
yeah.
really, really close.
Yeah, wow.
Um, yeah, our relationship is, I really tried to like slot in as this third kind of um to their duo. And I thought that they really wanted me. And yeah, we got quite close. And when we merged, all I thought our plan was to continue forward with Logan. That's what they were saying they wanted to me.
Mm.
I think that Kate and AJ's relationship is fascinating. They have such a beautiful friendship. And I didn't foresee them kind of forgetting the hostages part of it
Of it.
all.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, their friendship really took everyone by surprise. And I guess it was closer than the friendship than that I had made, and
But you
that's a
guys do,
testament
yeah.
to AJ's social game. But yeah, the plan was to move forward with Kate and Morgan. You can see last night I looked to Morgan and
Yeah.
I say, did you vote for? And then even the night before, I said, did you know about that? I'm trying to figure out their relationship with Kate and Morgan,
Mm.
because at that point, Logan is, yes, my number one, but Kate and Morgan were definitely people that I wanted to move forward in the game
Yeah.
with.
Okay. Interesting. Because we mentioned the episode before. Now, the episode before, you put out into the world this switch up for the PD vote, and then ultimately you back out of it. It sort of, from the outside, it did seem like a half measure. You were like, this is all in, wheels are in motion. And then the final piece of the puzzle, you talk to Logan, you go, hey, let's actually try this. And then it all blows up, and then you
Mhm.
back out. Should you have followed your gut in that point? Should you have gone, or are you just too worried about totally losing Logan?
It wasn't necessarily about Logan. It was more about the numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't think I had the numbers to pull off the PD vote.
Yep.
So I had spoken to Miles and AJ. Now, I haven't ever worked with AJ before
Yeah.
up until this point, so I didn't know how reliable that was. I knew he was close with Kristen, and the numbers kind of were leaning towards Miles, AJ, Paulie, maybe Kate and Morgan, with a very solid PD, Kristen,
Mm.
Zara, Karen, and Logan. That was a solid group. And the other side just seemed really wishy-washy. I didn't understand Kate's relationship to AJ and how that worked. And it just seemed like I wouldn't be able to pull off the numbers
Yeah.
without
Okay.
a little, advantage in my pocket. So I thought best not rock the boat for someone that doesn't really bother me. It didn't really bother me if PD or Paulie went home.
Yeah.
Strategically, I would have preferred PD to go home, of course, but it didn't. I thought this is not a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yep.
And we've seen what it's like when I stick out my neck too far in the past,
Mm.
and I don't want to start merge with that same kind of animosity.
Yep.
So I thought best go with the solid group rather than these numbers that I'm just not sure where they land.
Yep.
So it wasn't really about pissing off Logan. It was more about can I actually pull it off?
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It does seem that tribal council where Miles uses his advantage, everyone gets super angry with him and AJ. That coming back, Logan's going berserk. It's all blowing up. Then slowly, it then sort of got away from you guys, and you were the only two that were sort of still annoyed. Did you feel that change happening over those days, or at the reward, or was it again just sort of everyone still hates them? This is great, and you're sort of blinded by that.
I did feel a shift.
Yep.
But I think the plan to get out Logan and myself had been in motion for a lot longer, clearly,
time.
than I
Yeah.
knew.
Yep.
So all I was hearing was that people were annoyed with it, and it made sense that people were annoyed with it.
It's confirmation bias, because when you feel it, you go, oh, well, yeah, everyone's will have the same thing. Yeah.
Of course they are. And The Graduates is the best kept secret of this season of Australian Survivor. Absolutely no one knew about The Graduates, because as you can see, they never chat as a five, ever.
Yeah.
They never ever spoke as a solid five. So when I knew there was an alliance forming, I didn't know who was in it. I couldn't tell who was in this secret kind of alliance, but I knew that Zara and Kaylin were kind of close. I think that it was confirmation bias of, like, of course people will be upset about it. I wasn't angry about it. More, I was annoyed that, my plan was kind of taken again.
Yeah.
But rightfully so, he had the advantage. I thought this kind of worked out a little bit in my favor. I can say to Paulie, that was my idea.
Yeah.
Miles and AJ knew that was my idea. I didn't think that I wasn't upset at them. I was more trying to calm Logan, who really wants to move forward with Kristen and PD.
Yeah. Okay.
And I thought that was a solid way to move forward as well. So I wasn't angry, more confused why I wasn't brought in on it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like
I would have voted for PD if I had known.
Yeah. Because this comes back to your relationship with Miles. Now, you seem to be, you were never one of the people piling on Miles. You always seem to get on well with him. How did you end up being the split, and how did you end up him being so fine with, like, oh, well, if Logan plays her idol, then you go home? Like, to me, I just felt you guys had something, you and Miles.
I thought we did too.
Yeah.
I don't know how I ended up being the split. I think that the PD thing probably was the reason for it, because I had made a plan, gotten some numbers for the plan, and then flipped the plan all the way back. I actually think that may have scared Miles and AJ, that I had the ability to make a plan and then actually flip it all back within the space of 20 minutes.
Yep.
And I think if I had voted for PD that night, if I'd been brought in on it, I wouldn't have been the split.
Yeah.
But I also think they were so gung-ho on Logan that if you can't take Logan, you're going to take her.
Yeah, because that weakens Logan. Yeah.
I also think with this narrative that AJ is pushing, that I was doing well and that I have this target on my back, it seemed illogical to vote for anybody else.
Yep.
When splitting on Logan, because that would then go back on everything that he's been saying about me if he was to split on anybody else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It destroys that narrative, that perception that people are creating.
People think that he's lying about the story that he's telling.
If Corinne doesn't say to Logan, like, play your idol, does she feel comfortable enough not to play it, and ultimately she goes home and you stay in the game? For sure.
Yeah. I definitely think she would have gone home with an idol in her pocket without that information. We're at tribal council, she keeps saying, should I do it? And I said, I don't think you need to. I genuinely don't think you need to. And I started figuring out that maybe I would have been the split. So I'm like, you really don't need to. Don't. You really don't need to.
In fact, played on me.
Yeah. She's lying. But I knew that it was the right thing to do for her to play her idol for herself. And I thought I'd potentially put in the groundwork with Miles enough to not be the split. But I understand, why would you split on someone like Paulie when you've just spent your whole last night saving Paulie?
Saving him, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not angry at her for playing her idol, but I was trying to convince her out of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's all right. Now, we've got a couple more minutes, but is there just something that maybe didn't make the edit that you wanted to share with everyone out there, that you felt like maybe something you did, or maybe just something that was like, oh, this didn't get shown and it was really cool, or anything like that?
I'm really proud of my relationship with Kate and Morgan. It's not getting shown, but I think I worked really hard on Brains 2.0. That first vote of Brains 2.0 where Maxi goes home, all three other Brains names had been brought up except for mine.
Yeah,
and I was really proud that I was able to maneuver quite well into the Brawns alliance without my name being brought up, but not so well that you were a threat like Max was.
Yes.
I'm really proud that I had maneuvered And then the only reason they did want to get rid of me is because I had done that so well. Yeah, I'm really proud of my relationship with Kate Morgan, and going into Merge, I thought that I was in a really good position with those girls having the brawns. And then I knew Logan and Karen were close as well. I thought that I'd found myself in a really comfy kind of position.
Yep.
I wish that the time and effort Zara and I had spent with those brawns had been,
Paid
you
off.
know,
Yeah.
that had been shown. And Girls Gone Wild, I think, could have gone really far. And then when it did break, I then worked harder with Kate and Morgan, and I kind of flipped the entire Brains 2.0 onto Zara, hence why Jessie votes for Zara. That was completely me pushing. I didn't want to vote for Zara. I wasn't going to vote for it at that time, but I was proud that I could flip the entire Brains 2.0 onto voting for her after they've just voted for her to have this kind of advantage.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Now we've just got one more minute. So really quickly, who's playing the best game right now?
Right now, I think that if you can stand up and call someone a hostage and get away with it the way that AJ has, I think that's absolutely brilliant. I think Kristen is in a beautiful spot.
Yep.
She is so comfy with the brawns. Every single Brawn 2.0 brain, AJ, Karen, and Logan wants to work with Kristen. I think she's playing a brilliant game.
Awesome. And finally, what is your favorite film?
Oh, ever? Interstellar.
Yes.
I love Interstellar.
Good knowledge.
I could probably watch that over and over again and see something new every single time. And I love films like that where I can watch it 100 times and spot something. I love Shutter Island.
Oh, great. Really mate, we need to talk films. These are all good choices. This is great. We need to talk about films.
Also, School of Rock. I love School of Rock.
Yes. Shout out to
I'm a drummer. So
Mike White. Survivor Mike White.
Mike White, exactly. Ned Schneebly.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us. It's been a lovely conversation. I'm sure we'll talk again, but we're disappointed. Have fun being the mayor of Jury Villa. We look forward to seeing your amazing outfits out there. Thank you very much for the chat, and good luck with the rest of your journey. See ya.
Thank you, Eden.